topic right now, everybody's talking about 50 years of hip hop. You know, you want to definitely give it up to hip hop and everything you've done. So we got a little segment on hip hop. In your opinion, how has hip hop changed from the time when you was doing your thing to now?
I mean, you know, hip hop is. There wasn't an internet before. There wasn't social media, so hip hop was controlled, at least what you heard, by gatekeepers. You know, you had to have the money to be on the radio or sign with somebody to shoot a video or, you know, those kind of things. But because of the internet and social media, there's freedom. So hip-hop is, you know, you're hearing exactly what people like because the people are now making the judgment as to what gets played, which is different for me, you know, because before you really had to ask. So you don't have to be dependent on radio. You don't have to be dependent on, you know, BET or MTV. They're not even that as relevant as they once were. Now this podcast, you know, people are able to control their own destiny based on how hard they work. And then also you could now discuss, you know, with hip hop, you know, you can actually study algorithms and behavior patterns, and what happens sometimes are now based on that. Hip hop's also more economically sustainable. You know, a lot of people in hip hop are learning how to make money after their hip hop years. So you're able to leverage your brand in hip hop, start there, but go off into other verticals that may have nothing to do with hip hop.
That's a fact. And so right now, you know, drill music is the latest trend, you know, coming out of New York City. And a lot of people been wondering, like, what happened in New York hip hop as far as its dominance. So in your opinion, well, do you have an opinion on drill music, one? And what's your take on New York hip hop and the future of New York hip hop?
You know, sonically, drill music is dope. It sounds really good. Mm-hmm. But the reality of what it represents is, you know, scary because it represents drilling, a black man or someone of color hurting someone else of color and celebrating that. But it's just, to me, that's the way they're reporting the news these days, is through drill rap. Before it was through whatever rap we were doing. So I don't knock anything that's going on in the rap. It actually sounds good, but when it's talking about the demise of us as a culture and like kind of glorifying us hurting each other as an adult, as a 50-year-old, I'm like, that sounds good, but I know that when they get older, that's not how they're going to feel about things if they make it, you know. So it's almost like you can't be a drill rapper unless you're active. And that's, you know, back where I came, if you were active, you weren't jumping on a radio or a record or any of that, you know. So that's also where it's changed, is the people that are actually rapping are really putting in the work. And back then it wasn't so much like that. It wasn't so much like that. But like, you know, watching rappers get Ricos means that wasn't happening back then.
Definitely a sad situation, huh?
I mean, the situation is a cycle. It's a sad cycle. But again, it's just like, you know, there's different ideals that come with doing illegal things, and one of them is definitely to be as least outside or public as possible. So when you do a crime, you're trying to get away with it, you don't put it on a record. So it contradicts every moral of, you know, where I came from of doing things illegal. But I'm not knocking the music because the music is good. It actually is articulating. But what I don't like is the fact that other cultures are now going to exploit drill music. People that aren't from where we're from are going to look for drill music to make money from it and not care that there will be funerals. Because when you sign an artist, you put an insurance policy on their head. So whether they live or die or not, sometimes you make more money when they die because you have an insurance policy than when they live and don't sell as many records as you anticipated.
And that's a sad situation. That's why I definitely want to make sure I ask you that. Now, for me, I'm an independent artist myself, but I'm also a teacher and an entrepreneur. I've been consistent, screaming well, and always, you know, get good reviews. But I've been struggling as far as scaling the business. So I wanted to ask you, like, how can, not just me or independent artists, how can we build the right relationships, and what advice do you have for independent artists right now in 2023, you know, trying to build the right relationships and get the right people, you know, to help connect the music and get it to the next stage?
Relationships are important, but you want to be in the driver's seat. And the way you're in the driver's seat as an artist is you have to do your own shows. You have to become a promoter. That's how you make your money in music, is from the show. So whether you have a hit record or not, if you can't make money at your show, you're not going to get rich off the stream. Very few do. So it's about having the ability to get people to pay money to watch you perform, and while they're there, to buy your merch and all your other verticals. See, because of the internet, there's a transparency and there's also a rapidness that you have to have with showing people who you are and your point of view. Showing people your content is showing a piece of your soul. It's actually showing how you look at the world. It shows your taste level in music, in editing, in people that are shooting. It's a vertical that's very important. It's how you exist digitally. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you have to be able to put a crew together that's going to help you put out content rapidly, nonstop, so you could be a part of what's called an algorithm, because now success is based on behavior patterns and the tracking of it and what people search. So whatever comes up in the search engine, you need to pop up. You know what I mean? So that comes with being consistent at whatever it is you're doing and owning that that actual title or whatever it is they're Googling or TikToking or whatever search engine they're using.
I definitely appreciate that advice.
You know, but it's all about the show first and foremost. So what am I doing right now? We're Sharon, right? Fashion. You know, I'm an entrepreneur. End of the day, common ground is education. We have a mentality that we feel needs to be pop. It should be with pop culture. The only way to do that is really to hit the road and talk to people every single day. That's what we're doing in the schools right now. You know, that's what, you know, when you run for office, you go on a campaign. Mm-hmm. Go talk to people. When you actually shoot your product and sell it, it's called a campaign. This is a campaign of literacy and sticking together of our culture from different verticals of what makes us happy. From fashion to children to communication, every single person here is stimulating some vertical that behooves them personally, but collectively it becomes some major thing. Ooh. You understand what I'm saying?
Definitely sound advice right there.
And
now, for me,
that's what we're doing. This is a collective of minds meeting up at a school,
coming together in a different way.
Well, you know, usually when I would come in town, I have a gallery or I have a studio. It's not in a school. You know, we're in a school. You feel what I'm saying? This is the new spot. This is the new social club. Mm-hmm. This is what we've made, a place to showcase that a principal knows the pulse of the real street.
Making education cool.
But the real education. So someone could come in and give you an interpretation of the music, but not telling you ain't got to show or sell merch and, you know, this, that, and the third. You can't do it. Someone might tell you, you know, about fashion and say you got to go to this school, that school, and, you know, put your name on a blanket, and that's fashion. But you got someone that's really doing it. You know, someone that can sell a leather for $5,000. Someone that has like damn near a degree in a workmanship of a leather craftsman, you know, and build a factory. Education is different these days. We were educated based on how much people wanted us to know.
Right.
Enough so that we can work and do labor for them. That is exactly what the education has been for. This is now a creative education on how to monetize what you love and be the boss. Too many people want to play and not own.
Right.
People want to rent and not be landlords and be wondering why they can't make change. These are the solutions to the oppression. See, our problem was we didn't know how we were being oppressed. It was a mental thing. It wasn't a physical thing. It wasn't the whip. It was the mind.
Gems.
You feel me? So now that we figured out the keys to the trolling on controlling us, like why is it I can't get my gun to shoot at somebody but my friend or my brother? Why won't it work against somebody else? I won't even pick it up.
Because it's promoted.
It's just we've been programmed not to touch certain people and to hurt each other.
Now I want to
look the other way when our oppressor does something to us, because we have to actually be humble about an opportunity as opposed to being entitled.
That's true.
My success is entitlement. I'm not fitting in. I'm taking because I deserve, because I'm skilled. It's no favors when my work is good. It's not a relationship. Almost everyone that started, I don't know who Ice Spice had a relationship to get where she had to go. I doubt she had any. It's just when you fit the algorithm, you go.
I mean, now you mentioned Ice Spice, and we in the Boogie Down Bronx, and a lot of the kids, that I work with, they love Ice Spice. So what you think about her, that made her pop?
I don't know. And that's what's great about her, is that no one knows what it is, but it's something. I don't know what it is, but there's something about her that's driving people crazy.
I got some 7th graders. They'll tell you, what I mean? They'll tell you why she made it.
It's a swag thing. It's the way she tilts that hair. It's the attitude, bro.
Now, staying on the hip hop section for a little while longer. I'm from Harlem. You know what I mean? I went to Rice High School, and I was driving cars when I was young. I had the ladies and all that. So the type of people I looked up to was like you, right? So thinking about everything I studied, right? I know a lot about just Dame and looking at all your interviews and stuff like that. But one story that I want to personally ask you about that we talk a lot about in Harlem in our little debates is, what was your affiliation with Big L, and what was you about to do with Big L, before his untimely demise?
So Big L, I would consider a brother. He was from 139th, 140th. I'm from 142nd, but I'm really from 1199. But I hung out on 142nd Street, so we knew each other as, from one block to another. He was one of the cooler guys, but then he started rapping, and I got into the business, and Cam got into the business, and I was older. He was the first one with a record deal. He had a single deal, but, he couldn't get his thing to pop. And I was working with Jay-Z, and we just became cool, really, really close, cool. And, Jay battled Big L on 139th Street because Jay was with me, and Sean Arnold was like, he right over there right now. I was like, all right, well, come on. We went over there. Great. And we would do the mixtapes together. It was almost like with Akinelli. At that time, if one of us was doing better, we would say, all right, if I go do an interview, you come do it with me. If I'm on the stage, I'm going to bring you on the stage in the middle of my show. That's what Ak used to do. He used to bring us on the stage in the middle of the show. If we had a show, we'd bring Ak on the stage in the middle of the show. So it was the same kind of thing with Big L. It was that kind of fair exchange, and, we were all crew and cool. And when he went and I started to blow up, things weren't cracking for him, whatever direction he went. I think it was Sony. Mm-hmm. And, we was on the block. I think my man Rel called me. No, Rel called me about Cam. I don't know what it was, but we were on the block and we were kicking it. And I was like, yeah, man, come with us. Same thing I did with Cam. I'm like, come, what? This is easy. This train is moving. I got you. And, we kicked it on the block, and we was getting ready to announce it, and a couple of days later he got killed.
Dang. And that's like, we talk about that a lot in Harlem, like what would have happened, with Big L, especially doing business with Dame. But speaking of Big L, lately a lot of popular rap artists have been getting killed. Similar things happening in the community as well, especially in the Bronx. So what do you think we could do to start changing the narrative for young black men and kind of cut down this gun violence that's been going on?
What I'm doing now, going into the schools, talking to them young. Hard to tell a kid knee-deep in survival mode after he's just been abused certain kinds of ways to, stop protecting himself if he doesn't know another way. But if you can get these kids to be enlightened and evolve and start that process really early, and give them a different way, teach them how to dream, showcase this program of us hurting each other and the fact that they're laughing at us. When they do that, they use our fear to make us, like, you're only tough because you're scared. I started boxing because it just made sense, because I'm going to be in the street to be good with my hands so I can protect myself. But it was never to aggressively hurt somebody. It was always for defense. Tough is a form of defense. People aren't offensively trying to hurt anyone unless they're just, I don't know why you would even be on that. You kind of do it so no one bothers you. You ask Mike Tyson why he learned to box, because he was getting bullied. You know what I'm saying? So because we get bullied so much as a culture, we end up hurting each other. But we need to tell them, this is what you got to do. You got to dream. Get negative people away from you. You have to visualize it. It can happen with us. So hopefully we can make you pivot and see that, I honestly think that the number one thing that is really needs to happen is you need to know what jail feels like before you get there. Because what's going on sometimes, I'll be like, do these kids even care if they won't come home until they're adults? Do they know what jail is? Mm-hmm. Like what it is to have your freedom taken from you just because you were scared that people don't think you tough and you want to get like some sort of accolade from catching a body? It's not worth it. And, I'm older, and my OGs, they just came home from doing 30 and 25 years. Like and you got to do it right if you're going to play the game, but doing it right comes with a lot of time.
even programs like Scared Straight. Like my grandfather, he was a part of that. Yeah. He was doing 20 years in jail. My grandfather, and he was a part of starting that program.
That's what tightened me up. Quick pause. I went to jail for not having a license because I always had a car, and I went through the system, and I ended up going to Rikers. I was like, this is not for me. I quit. I'm not snitching, and I'm not going to jail, so I'm just not going to commit a crime.
That make a lot of sense. I hope y'all listening, kids. Now, when you think about you talked about us not controlling our own culture. So I think the number one question a lot of people want to ask you, because you talk a lot about this, who controls hip hop?
Depends on what aspect of it. We control hip hop. We control hip hop because we make the music. Who controls the economics of it? The ones that trick us into giving our masters away so that they can be called master. You know what I'm saying? See, anything that says master in it, you're not supposed to give it to anybody. So if you have a master and you give it to someone, that's your master.
Gems.
It's in the verbiage. You feel me? So, again, like, I wouldn't pay any amount of money. No one could pay me any amount of money to take my actual freedom from me. To put me in a cage, put me in cuffs, tell me when to sleep and do that. But with your art, if somebody does that, it's like putting your art in jail for a number. There is no number that I can put my art in cage. But that's what's controlling 90% of the world right now. And we go to school to be taught how to be controlled.
Right.
That's why we got to come in these schools and teach them how to dream. We're taught that we're supposed to have a record deal, but we're not. We're taught we're supposed to give our masters up and buy them back from people to sell to our culture. That's what we're taught. We're taught that, that Yahshua's name is Jesus, and it's not. We got black people calling somebody a god. We have a black people or black people of color calling a god of color a god of not color. His name's not Jesus. His name's Yahshua. But these tricks are expected, and I'm not going to be mad at it. I'm just like, how we keep getting caught with the obvious just because something put in our face every day. You can't trust a pattern. Just because it's a pattern doesn't make it true.
Right.
Just because you tell me a lie 100 times and my son and my grandkids and his kids, it don't make it true. Logic has to kick in at some point, and that's what you have to listen to, your logic.
Logic. That's a very important.
Math, 2 + 2 = 4. If you wasn't born in Europe, you don't have a European name. I don't go to London and they call me any version of my name but Damon. There is no no interpretation of my name. So wherever Yahshua at, they supposed to call him Yahshua. So if my name is Damon and you're like, yo, I'm a big fan, but you're calling me Damien, how much of a fan could you be of mine?
You didn't even study my name, man.
That means I'm finding that statement condescending.
Right.
So if somebody tells me that you believe in God and this, that, and the third, but you're calling me by my wrong name and you're telling everyone to, how am I going to give you my full blessing?
Right.
So we've been tricked into believing in the wrong name.
The whole time.
The whole time.
And my last thing.
And that's smart.
On this hip hop.
Dumb for us.
You're right. My son James always got massive gems for the culture, man. And one, I ain't even mentioned this, but I want to say it right now. Definitely appreciate you coming here. Definitely appreciate everything you're doing for the school. I be in here working with the kids, and I be schooling them on Dame Dash and all of the things you're doing for the culture, for music and all that. So I want to salute you, especially, coming from Harlem.
And what I want to do is real quick, because I like to tell people things that they don't know. That's what the discovery process is. I want people to know who Sharon is on a fashion level. Just because I think what he's doing for fashion is bringing black people to luxury fashion, making brands made by us that people can buy, white, black, or whatever, from any class, and respect it because of the art. But then also he's into teaching a different perspective. He's teaching owning factories. I just want you to at least say something in this interview. So when they go, that's the dude Dane was talking about. You know that thing.
And I'm gonna show this right to the kids.
This is our new Jeff Ham. This right here costs $5,000.
Ooh.
And he sells out.
Getting money. Let me see.
The only reason why I got mine on is because he got his on. So I'd be fronting on you. I'm telling you now.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So a little bit, what's your name? You know what I mean? How you got started into the fashion?
Quick, but I just want to make sure you get it.
That's a fact.
I'm Sharon Barber. I'm from Camden, New Jersey.
Salute.
Appreciate it. I have a global fashion brand.
I manufacture products all over the world. I just built a new factory in Istanbul, Turkey, where we produce 1,000 leather goods a month. We also building a knitwear factory that can produce 300,000 garments a year. I think starting out, I started off watching Dame. Same as you. We from the same era. You know what I mean? So I watched him do what he do, and I remember a bar where Jay-Z said, Rockaware, 80 mil, like 18 months. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I was never a rapper. I was always a guy who studied the business, and I knew that Dame was, handling a lot of the business. So I'm like, how do I create something that could generate 80 mil in like 18 months? And that kind of started me on my grind. So now I'm here, and I initially I started a brand as most of us do. But the thing with a brand is a brand is a brand. It's like you put a brand on a cow. You put a brand on something. You know what I'm saying? But I wanted to own what the brand was on. So it took me on a journey of manufacturing and understanding the process and trying to own every step of the process. Because sometimes you said something earlier about, monetizing. Mm-hmm. So we think you have to sell 1 million or something to make money. Sometimes you can sell less and make more money. You just have to own more steps of the process. Like if I'm buying a Gildan shirt for $10 and selling it for $20, I'm only making 10. But if I'm making this shirt for $2 and selling it for $20, I'm now making 18, which means I don't have to sell as many shirts to make the money. You know what I'm saying?
Talk about margin.
Mm-hmm. And I'm actually a math teacher, 7th grade, and my lesson today was on percents.
Let me tell you a lesson in stunting. This is the right way to stunt.
Uh-oh.
I've been telling it. No, he's stunting on it. I went to Camden. He took me to his old block. This is my old block. And he parked his McLaren with the doors up, with the keys going on the block in Camden. And he said, "Nah, this is my block. Like, we own every building on my block." So he just started pointing at all the buildings. And I was like, now that's an official flex.
That's definitely.
And that's the way we need to stunt on each other. Like, too many kids fight for blocks they don't own just because they have entitlement because they've lived there their whole life and hustled on it. It ain't yours unless you got the title, And to be able to take a block and do what you want with it is a power. I feel like turning this into an art district. I feel like it. You can do what you feel when you own, and that's the ultimate flex. And especially coming back to your neighborhood, buying everything, fixing everything, going back to the schools, coming back fresh, bringing other people. That's the real flex. Jewelry's not a flex. Clothes is not a flex unless you kind of own the factory.
Gyms.
So we're stepping up the flex. The challenges have to get more complicated. They have to be iller. We have to dream bigger. I no longer dream about having a clothing line. We dream about owning the factory that makes the clothes for other clothing lines. It's a different dream now.
Different dream. Yeah. Now, the name of this show is called How to Beat the Streets. So I could ask both of you because I know a little bit about Camden as well.
Yeah, that's the streets.
That's definitely the streets.
I just came back, and I must say that I was able to move freely without any security out there.
Now,
so if I can say that about a person, then I know them.
Right. So how was you coming up in the streets of Harlem? How was you able to beat those circumstances? Because that's not easy. And then the same thing for you. And growing up in Jersey, Camden, how was you able to beat those circumstances?
You have to respect the rules of the street, the unwritten laws. That's what I did. I looked at first of all, I came from a family where it wasn't going to happen no matter what. They weren't going to let me clown out. Like I said, I wasn't even allowed to get a tattoo. We hustled right. Not very many people I know have had a life of crime and didn't do any time. But the ones I do know are related to. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? But it's very rare. So I was taught how to move a certain way, how to respect people a certain way. And also, as long as you can be funny and be all right with your knuckle game, as long as I can request a fair one, at least back then a fair one kept everything kind of level. So guns, whatever, now I need a fair one. If you don't do the fair one, if you don't give someone a one-on-one and you shoot, then you're not considered tough. It's just like today when they be like, let me get the fade. You know what I'm saying? You get kicked out the whip for that. You feel me? So as long as your knuckle game is proper and you know how to cut ass, pull, snap, and you're also respectful of the rules of, and for me, no snitching. There's certain things. I don't even want to get into it right now, but there was just certain things that if you abided by, you generally were all right.
So having a lot of respect sounds like.
Respect is everything. That's why I made that movie Honor Up. Honor is everything.
Shout out to my son Murder Mook. He did great in that.
Murder Mook is my man. That's my brother. He's got him and his wife. They got they had it as an art gallery, but they have the event space on 100 and something street now.
Salute.
So yeah, when I watch people like I don't know him until recently, right? But the things he's doing means I must have known him because he's doing what I would do, what I want us to do. It's like he's been listening. You know what I'm saying? So you really know someone if they agree with you, regardless of whether you meet him or not. You could just see by the action, I know that person because you know what kind of person that is, the kind of person that would go to every school and wake up every morning. And if you don't have to, still do it anyway, fly in from Turkey, for his hood. You feel me? And then, come back and double back and come to my hood. It's fair exchange. You expect people, now I have an expectation of it. Before, I don't have expectations of people, but once I know what you got and I have an expectation, I don't expect him to do anything less these days because he started with the right thing.
It's wild because what he said is important because when I was there, I actually survived in my hood.
Mm-hmm.
Like I grew up, for those that don't know, Camden is one of the poorest cities in the country. I think in 2014, the average household income was $8,500 a year. It's been the most dangerous city in the country for probably 10 out of the last 20 years. Per capita is a very small place. And for me, like they paint it, they make it, they don't give us anything and then we fight for what we have. But the reality is in every hood in America, you have a Dame Dash. Like it's levels. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I had a thorough OG who kind of taught me those rules and taught me the ropes, right? So I came up. When I listen to Dame talk, I'm already in alignment with it because my OG already gave me that script, right? So we operating on the same script.
It's a cloth that you cut from.
And you continue to update the script. So when I got new coding, I'll call him like, I got new coding. And then he's like, we got to add that to the script. It's like we got our own legislation. We have our own, you understand? Like it's
collaboration.
Like
too.
when they go and they update the law in the Senate, it's the same thing with us, right? So like when I come in with Dot, because I know Dame era, he not coming through with Dot hair, right? I gotta almost get permission. It's like because when I go out there, they question me like, bro, what's up? What you put in colorful hair? Like you from out here? What you doing? And it's like, nah, it's an update, right? Because we still thorough. Like this, we defining it a little different. You understand what I'm saying? So like when I bring Dame back to my hood and introduce him to almost my version of him, like this is the guy who taught me the game, and watching them two come together is like a proud moment. You know what I'm saying? But that's how you're able to navigate. So when I'm with Dame, I'm with my OG. It's the same DNA. It's almost like you tapping into the Akashic records. It's a DNA, and when that DNA gets near each other, it attracts. You know what I'm saying? So
and then I met him through barter. Another one, I'm like a young official cat that's fresh. So, once you meet people that are cut from that cloth, they only introduce you people that are cut from that cloth.
Reminds me of networking. Like, how important is networking on your entrepreneur journey?
The right network.
Barter.
Network.
Barter came out to Turkey. I love what Barter is doing because he actually took Black history and made fashion. Not like the little cheap $10 T-shirts. We talking about
$300 hoodies.
$300, and it's not. The fashion is good, the fit is good, the textile is good, and the messaging is good.
Everything.
So when he was doing that, he told me, I was in LA making stuff, and I realized I could make stuff. He was paying a lot of money to make these things. And I told him, come to Turkey and we can get the pricing better. And he came in, we put that together.
That's dope. I love what y'all doing, man. I want to talk a little bit about OSG, you know what I mean? So I remember I was in college in my dorm room, right? And I was watching a bunch of Dame interviews, and I ain't gonna lie, I was ready to drop out of college because Dame was basically saying, college was a waste of money, the school system create workers, not bosses, and we could be doing other things during that time. And now, you're working with principals. So how did you get involved with OSG, and what made you want to collaborate with principals?
To be honest, what happened was Lays called me from MLP, who built this.
Salute.
And, he just asked me to come on a Zoom, and he said some other shit with it, but I wasn't listening. It's just out of respect for him, I'm going to show up. So I showed up on the Zoom. I'm like, oh, snap, there's a bunch of principals. So for me, I started getting at them. I don't like education, blah, blah, blah. They got back at me. So we going back and forth and all that. And, we came to a common ground. And I was like, I respect these people because what they're saying is, articulate. I started to understand what a principal does and the power of being around them and the things that I could actually do. And they become as Willie Esco, they become my strongest family. Like the illest family. I've just never seen anybody, any crew of people, any color, support for love in this way. Like they all show up for each other. We show up for each other. and the love that they have for these kids, it all shows up in their schools. Like this school shows how much Travis loves his children. Look how much care he puts into.
Salute the Farrah's Academy.
And then you can see like the people that work here. Like I'm going into classes, I'm like, yo, these teachers really care. Like they celebrate when it clicks for the kids. Like I see it. Like they're like happy and proud. And know, like sometimes if a kid does something he doesn't usually, like, that was big for them. Like they know every behavior pattern about that child. You know, they spend more time with those children than their parents do. So to be a child, to be a principal, to be a teacher, to be an educator, it isn't something you do for the money because they don't pay you that good. You know what I'm saying? It's something you got to do for the love. To do it this way,
yeah,
really no. And
it's deep because for a long time it was either you chase your dream or you go to school.
right.
You couldn't do both. You either pursued your dream or you went to school. So he a dreamer. So he's teaching the dreamers like, yo, if you chasing your dream, go chase your dream. You don't need school. And what's happening now, because conversations like that is happening, he's talking to the schools and we're incorporating dreaming into the schools.
Common ground.
I mean, I'm an example of it. I'm a teacher in the school. I'm doing podcasts, doing music at the same time.
So we did abandon the school. We abandoned their school, their version of school.
Their version
now
of
we
school is
recreating
like
the school. This
our
our
version of
school.
is the free.
Because you in the school right now and you talking to
Dang.
and Dame talking to you.
Right.
And now the students is looking at you like you the man.
Mm-hmm.
Because
He
you
just
over
captured it on both angles. So they're going to see it.
I can't wait to go back to the class and show them. Yeah, we was with Dame yesterday, you know.
And when you realize and they realize when they can afford this, you're gonna be like, oh shit, you had East Saint Laurent up here, you had Christian Dior.
Yeah.
You know, this is the Christian. You know, this is where it starts. I know, I've seen this happen, so I know what's about to happen for him.
Special moment right here.
He's already getting money though. He's not like a starving artist. He pulled up here in the McLaren, bro. You understand what I'm saying? But
We borrowed that this weekend. You
so
heard?
if he's starting there, where is he gonna go in 10 years?
And that's, you know, it's making me think like I gotta hit you with this. A few of my teacher friends, you know, they like, you interviewing Dame, I need you to get to this part. So for my teacher friends out there, it seems like, you know, a lot of our kids take a little too long to understand reality. And when I say reality, I mean understanding that, you know, given our circumstances growing up in the trenches, we don't have the opportunity to just chill. You got to get up. You got to go after whatever you want to, you know what I mean? We got kids 17, 18, still thinking that they can afford to do nothing, no work, no education, no trade, no dream chasing, just chilling. So what do you think needs to be done in the classroom, you know what I mean, for teachers, school settings, curriculum? Like, what can we do to keep these kids motivated? Because I ain't going to front. A lot of us are struggling in the classroom.
Got to become the plug. The person that was the most influence was the flyers, who had the most girls, the best car. That was the person as a young person that I looked up to no matter who it was, rapper, drug dealer, or athlete. But we want to make the principal and the educator cooler than the rapper, drug dealer, or athlete, which is why we're here. So I ain't hanging out with no rapper, drug dealers, or athletes unless they're in the school helping other kids, or we ain't hanging out. You know, I'm too old for that shit. So it's about these kids understanding that you are the plug and that they have confidence that there's no other place they could be to get this kind of money unless they're around you.
We doing it.
So now someone could come through and they can monetize this. A kid can come make a thing. They have the professional wherewithal to do so and go get ads to pay for it on YouTube. Something can go viral. These kids are the influencers. So we're giving them the tool to make money to go to school. You know? And that's
what it's about.
Plug.
Giving them the tools to be what they want to be, not trying to cultivate them into what they systematically are taught to be. Allowing them to dictate their own journey. You know what I'm saying? Like they see you in here. I'm sure it's kids who want to. I'm sure y'all already have it. Already.
Yeah, we got a few episodes with the kids too. You got to go. All right, I got my last 2 questions. One, you known for saying saving is for suckers. You know what I mean? And financial literacy is something that we talk about a lot in the school. So do you still stand on that saving is for suckers? And what do you mean by that?
When I say that, I'm saying looking at money is for suckers. If I put the money into some bricks, you know, because for me, when you hold the bread, you're scared. Bread is supposed to expand. You're not supposed to look at bread. You're supposed to go work with it. And for me, my bread is always a target. If it sits anywhere, there's a bullseye on it, and somebody tries to take it, no matter what way it is. Government, friends, sticker, anybody. They always suing me. So if I got my money in bricks, art, other businesses, they got to be working. Money that stands still, lazy money is dumb money to me. Mm-hmm. It's scared money.
I like that.
I have too many dreams. So once one happens, I bet it all, bro. I can't hold no money. I got to figure it out. I have to make enough to look at, but I have too many dreams. As soon as it come in and go out, you know, and it doesn't go out and get spent, it goes out and gets invested in something I can liquidate or squeeze like juice at another point in time.
Gems.
Period.
Now, before we go, last question. If you could just give us, like, if, you know, this is Dame Dash book right now, you know what I mean? At least 2 key takeaways from your life story. What would those 2 key takeaways be that I could share with, you know, all the community that watched the show?
The money don't make me happy. It's the love.
Love that.
You know, like, no matter what, this don't cost nothing to be here. But this is wealthy. Being able to be here with my son, my girl. You know, you're here with your girl. You know, people here. This is a family event. This is the new family. Look how dope this is.
Fire.
This is fly. We,
Classic.
you know, we making it in school. We're making it like, you know, as if we're on Hot 97.
That's a fact.
Like that. And it's way more energy. This is what we brought to the school, and this is what these kids are like, yo, y'all got this much juice that y'all got Dame and Sharon and ASAP, you know, all of these different people.
Motivation.
That's just the coolest of the cool are here. That makes y'all the coolest of the cool. The coolest of the cool school.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Dame Dash, Fair Eyes Academy, man. Thank you for coming.
My man.
Pissy elevators, shitty hallways. Only $1, split it 4 ways. Credit in the store.